cards, 3 cards, whatever it was.
Right, that's fair. That's
maybe I can fight back against this if I just go piece by piece and pick this apart.
It's true.
Then the Arcane Intellect's like, geez, come on, man. Like, give the boy a break. You're going to Arcane Intellect for 6 cards?
Yeah, 3 mana, just Myras.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now Hunterace, he's on the play this time. Thinking very hard about this opening hand, which, you know, Frostbolt being a very useful card, Stargazer Luna being a pretty good card to develop on 3 and challenging Rogue. Seiko only keeping Backstab to make sure that he can enable his combos, but he's going to be really looking forward to some of those other cards that he teched into the matchup.
Yeah, I think also when going second, weirdly, Backstab is a good card to keep as Rogue. You do have the coin as a combo activator, so some players might look at a mulligan like that and say, well, I don't really need Backstab. The problem is the mage's strategy against you when they're going first is going to be just develop minions and curve out a lot of the time. So if they're playing early Sorcerer's Apprentice, if they're playing early Mana Cyclones, the ability to just stop that tempo right in its tracks is super crucial, which actually weirdly makes Backstab perhaps even more effective on coin. Yep.
This is game 3. It's all the marbles on the line. When we go to the finals, it'll be transitioned to a best of 5. Seiko with the proactive SI7 agent to the face. I've seen this play a lot in 2014, back when Rogue was playing ridiculous stuff like Sinister Strikes and Arcane Golems to try and kill you by turn 5.
Right.
People often call that the backspace Rogue back in the day.
Yep.
And now Hunterace, he was thinking about, like, you know what, maybe Luna's on 3 is fine, but is it okay in this position? You know, and you can see how much Seiko values stopping a Stargaze Luna being dropped on 3.
Well, so this is actually a really interesting spot because part of the reason Seiko does this is that it's just his curve, right? His curve goes 3 into 3 into 4, like every single time. He almost never gets forced off that. So if he's going to do that, he might as well just activate the SI combo because the Blink Fox doesn't need a combo, right? It's just kind of strictly better to do it that way around. So actually, if Hunterace develops a read off that, he can actually flip the situation on its head and play Stargazer Luna exactly to force Seiko off of his 3 into 3 curve. So kind of instead of Seiko forcing Hunterace off the Stargazer Luna, Hunterace is sacrificing his Stargazer Luna to try and force Seiko off the 3 into 3 curve, and then Seiko just doesn't bite. He just says, you know what, I have the Vendetta. Unlucky.
Exactly. Seiko was prepared for that situation both ways. It was very nice.
As long as it keeps out arrows.
And now Hunterace is staring at 6 damage with a lot more on the way. Seiko's picking up a fairly aggressive hand, even though it looks like it's value-driven. Book of Specters. Master's Call. There's no way, right?
Cable Rat, Life Shrink. Let's go!
Yeah, I mean, Blink Fox is also an opportunity, too.
That's true.
Hunterace has the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So some plays available here to Hunterace. Although I think the #1 thing you wanted to do was find a way to dip into the armor pool that Halftime Scavenger would give him.
You can do that anyway, just with the ping, right?
Right. Ping, Conjurer's Calling.
Yep. What to do?
I don't really see the need to generate something else. Hope from Hunterace's reaction there that he's not just run into some technical issues. Does appear like his mouse cursor is frozen. Yeah, he's good.
Violet Teacher and Spear the Shark?
Whoa.
Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, a shark.
Oh. But is that good for Hunterace? He doesn't have any combo cards, obviously, and the Battlecry minions, he has Mana Cyclone, Banana Buffoon.
Yep.
And that's it.
Sandbinder?
Nope, he
doesn't play?
Oh, no, he does play Sandbinder, you're right. That was a secondary deck, he removed Sandbinder. That's actually not that good, but it is a stealth minion, which means that Hunterace can have a guaranteed Conjurer's Calling target #2.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually.
So if he picks up Khadgar, that ends up becoming a pretty good situation for him, because Seiko was prepared, right? He had Backstab and
right.
other things. All right, well.
Yeah, it's a play your hand kind of turn.
Icicle, Astral Rift. Looks like Hunterace is going to draw more cards here.
Arcane Intellect, look for the Cyclone, because as we mentioned, Cyclone is one of the nut draws here with Spirit and the Shark on the board. Doesn't find it.
He still can, though, with Frost Nova and Icicle. But I think he'd rather prioritize the Conjurer's Calling.
Get the Conjurer's Call, yeah.
And it's a tough spot because Hunterace knows that if he doesn't deal with the board, he could actually just die.
Right.
There's 10 power showing. And if Seiko lands like Life Drinker, and he wins. It would have to be Frost Nova Icicle into exactly Mana Cyclone. And then he would have to have a bunch more spells. If he plays the Conjurer's Calling...
Yeah, and then he needs like Ray of Frost and Frost Bolts off of his Mana Cyclone after he hits it.
Right.
Yikes. Okay.
Sturdy minions, but... Oh my goodness, that is the 16th point of damage. Seiko is going to close this out. Mage can't handle the pressure. And world champion Hunterace with another deep run, but gets stopped here in the semifinals. Seiko is going to advance to play Fina.
Fantastic performance. Probably the one name out of these 4 players who made it to the semifinals that the casual viewer would be least familiar with, but he is an absolute killer. Despite his quiet demeanor, you know, he is the brainchild behind a lot of players' success recently, particularly from the German scene, who have reached the upper echelons of competition, and then specifically called out Seiko as being a practice partner, you know, a player who was in the lab for them, cooking up ideas and building deck lists and practicing with them extensively. And it's great now to see him in this kind of position where he can really put himself out there and get some shine on himself.
Yeah, Seiko is a player that I think has the least fanfare given the least amount of spotlight, right? And he's a fairly humble player, just does not want to put himself out there too often in terms of just being in front of the camera, but no one really doubts his skills. And I think the fact that he finished second in points while he still was trying to threaten Hunterace's position last year is a testament to that, exactly. And Seiko now advances to play against Fino, and once more keeping up the very interesting battle back and forth between Rogue versus Mage. Seems like no Mage mirrors or Rogue mirrors are allowed here
no.
in the Euro playoffs. It's only Mage versus Rogue, exactly that.
There you see it, Seiko going on to take Fino. Fino won our first series of the day, taking it over good friend and practice partner and, of course, teammate on T1 in terms of Orange. And you saw how much it kind of meant to Orange at the end there. Like, he did not want a camera in his face anymore. As soon as the lethal draw was made, he was just kind of out of there. And you can see what this means to those players because of that reaction. You saw a very similar thing from Hunterace, but I think, you know, on a little bit of reflection, they will hopefully come to understand that they put in a fantastic performance. Yeah. You know, they've consolidated the existing fan base that both of them have. They'll both be very, very proud of their performances. And I'm sure they'll both be back bigger and stronger for Season 2. That's enough living in the past and the future, because we have got Fino versus Seiko coming up to round it all out.
Yeah, that's right. And these are two players who haven't gone to a world championship yet. Orange and Hunterace both have been to one apiece. Hunterace, of course, won the first championship that he appeared in, which is you know, an excellent stat. And you know what? It's okay, because Hunterace, even though he lost, it just means that he'll come back hungrier for Season 2. And I know that it's a nice fire that's lit under him, because we've seen a lot of players, when they qualify really early in like the competitive year, they kind of take it a little bit easier. I want to see him continue to fuel forward. In the meantime, for Seiko and Fino, how big is it for both these players? Neither of them been to the World Championship, but they've been close on both ends. It's a really important matchup, obviously, for that reason, but it's cool to see some new blood as well.
Yeah, it's huge, and it goes to show that kind of the HCT point standings from the previous year were one of the real proving grounds as to who is a consistent top player. Because, you know, of course it's the pinnacle. The Hearthstone World Championship is the very peak of the mountain, but it is also just one tournament. And just because you didn't qualify for that one tournament does not mean that you're not one of the best players in the world, especially if you've gone through the entire year and sat at the top of the point standings like both Fino and Seiko were able to do. The idea that anyone was able to get within touching distance of what Hunterace did last year, like, is kind of absurd. And both of those players did, and they're now both sat in finals. And final shout out just on the Seiko Hunterace saga. Seiko becomes the first player to beat Hunterace in a number of weeks in this tournament because
that's right.
Hunterace absolutely just ran the field through the second rotation of the round robin, beat all 7 players in quick succession, which is how he ended up taking down the first seed in the group. So he would have been riding that momentum. And like you said, it might be that defeat now to Seiko that lights that fire under him again for Season 2.
That's right. And it also turns into a best of 5. So we'll see how things continue to evolve. But that does it for us on the desk for this second semifinal. When we come back, Admiral will be joining the desk to wrap up the Europe first season here of Grandmasters. So don't go anywhere. HS will be right back right after this.
Shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. How states think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
My name is Eddie Liu, formerly Sehun628. Now it's just Eddie playing. My last year I had a pretty successful year, especially since I only played this game for 2 years. I won Dreamhack Atlanta. It's only a tour stall, but it meant a lot to me, especially since I was grinding really hard for a win. When I first knew that, like I received the email that I got into Grandmaster, I was really excited. I checked my email at like 10:30 and I was like hyped. I was like, oh my god, is this actually real? I think I'm a very consistent player. I think the X factor for myself is that I hate playing aggro decks, I would say. I'm a very control / anti-control player. I rather outgrind my opponent in resources. I constantly judge myself, oh, is this right? Is what I'm doing correct? And it means a lot. It means a lot to me that if other people are agreeing what I do and what I think. At this point, I just want to make worlds. I had a pretty good record in tour stop. I think I was at least top 10, if not top 5. I think I was lucky. I think this group is the easier group, and I think I have a good chance getting out of groups.
My name is Francisco Frale Montas. One of my best friends came out with my nickname. We are all getting like nicknames with 3 letters for some reason, like 13 years old. My name is Francisco, and Francisco's called Pancho, so it's just like 3 letters from that, P and C. One interesting thing about me that most people don't know is that I used to study ancient history. I quit for Hearthstone a couple of years, but plan on going back at one point. My favorite Hearthstone esport moment was when I topped like Lethal 2016 Copa America Finals. That was like my first big win, and I was very happy. It's like finally all that I worked for coming true. Beating Grandmasters for me means that all the hard work that I put in last years and all the time that I spent the game is paying off. My favorite thing about Grandmasters would be that I get a chance to prove myself like on the big stage. What makes me unique as a player, I would say, is just bringing very complicated decks to tournament. Like mostly combo decks that people usually don't play. My personal goals this year will be to earn as much money as I can, of course, and yes, improve as a player and play the best I can.
7 weeks of regular season play, 3 days of playoffs, and now 2 players remain. We have a BlizzCon seat to award to either Phenomeno or Seiko in this one. I'm Matt's Admirable, and joining me is Sottle. And Sottle, it's been quite a journey to get to this point, and I think that our finals for the European Grandmasters is absolutely perfect.
I think you set it up perfectly, speaking of that word, in the opening match where you looked at these 4 players and you're like, you know what, whichever final we get out of this, like, it's going to be incredible. I think already to the point where we're at the semifinals, we had 4 players who performed phenomenally, who either have massive history behind them or have proven the hype in terms of Seiko, who hasn't quite had the camera time of some of the others. So I think any way you sliced it, we would have had an incredible finals, and that, of course, goes to show